So how did you, political reporter Dave Weigel, find the time and the motivation to finish a book about progressive rock in the middle of last year's frenetic presidential campaign?
Oh, it was a perfect distraction. I actually finished the book during Bernie Sanders' primary campaign, where I think I'd heard the same speech 100 times in a row, and I turned in the last pages from this. But no, I've been obsessed with the music really for most of my adult life, and I started writing the book in 2013, not really predicting there'd be an election like the last one, and turned it in the book a bit late. But the whole time I would pivot from covering a campaign very intensely, then pivot back to
progressive rock.
Well,
now,
we read my interview with Keith Emerson or something was a
right.
great distraction.
So just help us out for the uninitiated. How do you define progressive rock?
It's super ambitious music. Most of it grew out of the 60s beat kind of music in London. And evolved both in the UK, the United States, evolved in Europe too. Just music that incorporated both classical forms and experimental music. And that's why it's so hard to define. I've yet to find a great elevator pitch for it, because the easy way to say it, well, bands like Yes, bands like In Crimson, but there's so much more.
You mentioned one band that I know, Procol Harum. I remember adult relatives playing that in the 1970s, but you say progressive is rock's best and weirdest rebellion. Best?
I think so. I just think the diversity that I was mentioning before is unlike anything else across music, especially if you look at what replaced it. I really love punk. I got into punk actually before I got into progressive, but younger than both those movements. But it was fairly limiting, and when it wasn't limiting, it was actually kind of quoting or experimenting in things that the progressive rock had done first.
There's a wonderful section at the opening of the book when you describe being on a progressive rock cruise in Miami with the United Nations of people who like the music. What is the enduring influence of progressive rock?
I think it's just so technically interesting, and there's so much potential in the music. It's a bit like jazz, except hookier. I mean, there are 20-minute songs or albums, double albums like Genesis, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, that seem impenetrable, but when you listen to them, sometimes with substances influencing the way that you're experiencing it, there is great technical brilliance in the playing, there is great ambition in what is being used to play the music, from the kinds of percussion to the synthesizers, and there are melodies. There are strong melodies, lyrics that can be about anything. I think the stereotype that I try to bust a few times in the book is that they're all fantasy. No, they're just not I Love You, You Love Me sort of simple pop songs. They can incorporate anything, from the text of War and Peace to arguments about communism. There's just so much encapsulated in the music because it's so unlimited.
Is it possible that progressive rock could be having a revival?
I don't think it can stride the earth like it did in the 1970s and take over the biggest arenas in any country. But it's surviving better than I think people would have thought when they left it for dead in the 80s.
Dave Weigel, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.